Hi Year 6 and welcome to Monday's reading lesson. I'm going to start by looking at an extract from Holes today, but this whole week we are going to focus on the theme of power. If you followed the last reading lesson last week, we started to think about the power that some of the different characters have. Now since then we have been introduced to one of the most powerful characters in the book, and so we're going to do today's lesson based on the Warden. There is an extract from chapter 14, which you can download from the website and you will need today. I'm going to read it along with you. This is the beginning part of it in case you haven't been able to print it. This is the most important description. I'm going to read it through and then we're going to look at some questions around the Warden and her power, and then I'll set you off on your independent activity. So if you've got the extract, follow along. If not, the beginning bit's here and then you can just listen to the rest. It's not very long. So this is the part of the book where Stanley has found the golden tube and he's given it to X-Ray, and X-Ray has pretended that it was him. Mr. Pendanski's gone to get the Warden because this is something of interest. Mr. Pendanski stepped out of the cab. A tall woman with red hair stepped out of the passenger side. She looked even taller than she was since Stanley was down in his hole. She wore a black cowboy hat and black cowboy boots which were studded with turquoise stones. The sleeves on her shirt were rolled up and her arms were covered with freckles, as was her face. She walked right up to X-Ray. "This where you found it?" "Yes, ma'am." "Your good work will be rewarded." She turned to Mr. Pendanski. "Drive X-Ray back to camp. Let him take a double shower and give him some clean clothes. But first, I want you to fill everyone's canteen." "I just filled them a little while ago," said Mr. Pendanski. The Warden stared hard at him. "Excuse me?" she said. Her voice was soft. "I had just filled them when Rex—" "Excuse me?" the Warden said again. "Did I ask you when you last filled them?" "No, but it's just—" "Excuse me." Mr. Pendanski stopped talking. The Warden wiggled her finger for him to come to her. "It's hot, and it's only going to get hotter," she said. "Now these fine boys have been working hard. Don't you think it might be possible they might have taken a drink since you last filled their canteens?" Mr. Pendanski said nothing. The Warden turned to Stanley. "Caveman, will you come here, please?" Stanley was surprised she knew his name. He had never seen her. Until she stepped out of the truck, he didn't even know the Warden was a woman. He nervously went towards her. "Mr. Pendanski and I have been having a discussion. Have you taken a drink since Mr. Pendanski last filled your canteen?" Stanley didn't want to cause trouble for Mr. Pendanski. "I still got plenty left," he said. "Excuse me?" He stopped. "Yeah, I drank some." "Thank you. May I see your canteen, please?" Stanley handed it to her. Her fingernails were painted dark red. She gently shook the canteen, letting the water swish inside the plastic container. "Do you hear the empty spaces?" she asked. "Yes," said Mr. Pendanski. "Then fill it," she said, "and the next time I tell you to do something, I expect you to do it without questioning my authority. If it's too much trouble for you to fill a canteen, I'll give you a shovel. You can dig the hole, and the caveman can fill your canteen." She turned back to Stanley. "I don't think that would be too much trouble for you, would it?" "No," said Stanley. "So what will it be?" she asked Mr. Pendanski. "Do you want to fill the canteens, or do you want to dig?" "I'll fill the canteens," said Mr. Pendanski. "Thank you." So we can see already that the Warden is quite a character. She's already telling off one of the adults, telling off Mr. Pendanski. So she's a little bit scary. Now, one of the quotes from that extract said, "Until she stepped out of the truck, he didn't even know the Warden was a woman." Regarding Stanley, hadn't seen her before, and he hadn't known she was a woman. So my question to you, you can either write it down or keep it in your head, but pause the video to have a think after I've given it to you. Did you expect the Warden to be a woman, and why or why not? Okay, so maybe you did, but I think that most people didn't expect the Warden to be a woman. We've not heard whether it is a man or a woman, but we've heard of this person who's in charge, the Warden, and I think most people would assume that that Warden was a man. There might be several reasons for that. One might simply be that all the adults and in fact all the children who are there are boys and men, and we haven't seen any girls or women. And another might be because generally or often or historically, authority figures were seen as men, and sometimes we still have that bias, that thought in our mind that an authority figure could be a man, even though, of course, things are a lot more equal now. So let's talk about power then. So we talked about this last week. We talked about Madame Zeroni's magical powers. We talked about X-Ray having some power. And we talked about the adults in camp having power. So now ask yourself the question, in what ways is the warden a powerful character? Pause the video and either note down or keep in your head your answer to that question. Okay, so the warden is clearly a powerful character because she owns or runs Camp Green Lake, so she's in charge, she's the highest up. She's a powerful character because she has the ability to give the boys a day off. So if they find something and she thinks it's interesting, she has the ability to give them the day off. She is powerful because she has control over the adults as well. And we can see that in the way that she spoke to Mr. Pendanski, and she said that actually I can make you dig the holes if you don't do what I say. So she's clearly in charge. She's got a lot of power. She is the one running everything at Camp Green Lake. So with that in mind, this is your independent challenge. I would like you to use the extract and draw a picture of the warden using the details to make sure that you're matching the description given. So in the centre of your page, do a nice big picture, and you can label off the features that you found in the text to make sure that it looks just like the character that's described. Then around the outside of the picture, write as many words or phrases as you can think of to describe the warden. It might be physically, or it might be her character, her personality. And if you wanted to give yourself an extra challenge, you would explain or give evidence from the text as to why you've chosen that word. So say you chose the word powerful, you would then give a little bit of explanation or evidence after that. I really look forward to seeing what you get up to. Please send through your finished pictures. We'd love to see them. And I'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you for joining me.